Aw, look at this cute little boy. He seems so innocent, he can't even hurt a fly. Holy shit, this boy can fight. This kid is a legend. Let's go! Not often do you see an anime where a cute character is a total badass. Who would have guessed that this cute character could have gone from this to, well, this? Ranking of Kings by Sasaki Toka received an anime and is one of the many released in 2021. And I know that was like a long time ago. Almost immediately, it was recognized by the majority of the anime community as a masterclass sort of series. Ranking of Kings is quite unlike any of the big shows currently. Like, you don't often see any of these in any show. And I can just say, Boiji has to be the cutest character of all time. I know it's unrelated to my last point, but I just had to mention. There's something about this anime that made it amazing. How could a manga that looked like this and a character who really can't communicate at all became such a beloved series? How did Ranking of Kings become so big? Ranking of Kings takes place in a fantasy world where the rulers of various kingdoms are ranked based on heroic features such as strength, heroism, and so on. Having a strong ruler is important, which is why Prince Boiji is looked down upon by so many. Boiji is deaf, mute, and gullible, but he's just a kid. He doesn't deserve to be scrutinized. He is thrown into a world that just treats him like garbage, yet holds onto his innocence. In contrast to a lot of protagonists in anime and manga, Boiji is a Chad, not giving a shit about what people think. He is like Shinji, but better in every goddamn way. Nobody holds out hope for him becoming a worthy king like his father, except Boiji himself. The people of the kingdom look down on the prince, who can neither hear nor speak. They call him the useless prince while jeering at his supposed foolishness. The story of the young Prince Boiji and his ambitions of kinghood have warmed the hearts of anime fans all over the world. At a time when loud action series such as Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer are both grabbing the attention, the amount of love for the show is a sign of its success. What the boy lacks in strength, he makes up for in kindness. Becoming friends with the shadow creature, he overcomes his fears and doubts to prove himself as he tries to achieve his dreams of becoming the greatest king. Since Boiji shows no signs of being able to hear anything at all, his attempts at speech can only portray his basic emotions, and many people are initially uncomfortable around him. He is quickly labeled as a burden since others must learn sign language around him. But his appreciation for when people are willing to do is so immense. People who have been treated badly in the past are likely to react even more favorably to being treated well, as demonstrated by Boji's friendship with Kage. The criticism Boiji endures is an unfortunate reality to many with disabilities who don't feel they have a right to speak up. Despite how colorful and comedic it can be, the story is a very intense one. Even if Boiji doesn't get into many fights, he's not the character an episode will only focus on. But while these action-oriented moments are animated beautifully, they never feel like the core of the show, and most of the time it lies in the real emotional elements. It's clear that the fights and action sequences are a way to keep the story moving and viewers interested, and I get that. But the character moments and conversations are the real focus. For example, during one moment, a character is told to drink an elixir to gain immense power, and by all accounts, he seems like the character to do so. However, he doesn't at all, and instead has to fight off people trying to force feed it to him. This fight is animated beautifully, but most viewers will be far more enamored with the character's actions and how they show he's actually much deeper than they first assumed. And that's the magic of Ranking of Kings. Found in stories like Beauty and the Beast, the cursed prince trope usually features a prince cursed with a powerful magic as either punishment or part of a bargain. This story arc often focuses on a journey to break said curse, and almost ends it with being lifted for a seemingly satisfying resolution. In Ranking of Kings, that's not what happens. Prince Boiji exhibits traits like being deaf, unable to speak, that are attributed to a powerful curse. However, instead of attempting to break that curse, the story story focuses on leveraging what Boiji can do and uplifts his differences. The story somehow teaches you to embrace your flaws and not ignore them. Prince Boiji from Ranking of Kings is somehow one of my most favorite characters of all time, and that's a pretty big leap, to be fair. One beautiful thing about Boiji is that he is his own person. He is his own fighter. For example, while having innate speed, Boiji uses his ability to hit the pressure points and pain receptors of his opponents. Instead of trying to rely on brute strength and power, he fights in an incredibly intelligent way that's unique to him and makes the most of his existing abilities without taking away what makes him different. He could definitely beat Goku. Although yes, there are plenty of action scenes for you brainless Dragon Ball fans, the show makes sure that the character development takes precedence over action. One of the strongest selling points of Ranking of Kings is the characters. At first, many of them in the show seem incredibly stereotypical, like characters seen in another anime thousands of times. But as the show progresses, every single one of these characters responds to situations in unexpected ways, showing much more nuance than one would expect. Viewers as well as me are more likely to guess what decision a character will make or what their motivation is at some point in their viewing experience. And most times, watching the show, you'd be completely wrong. Ranking of Kings makes itself out to be a surface-level, childish storybook anime at first, but after watching a couple episodes, it was not that. I was able to quickly figure out that this was anything but that. Even Boji's stepmom, who seems like another cartoonish bad mother, has a lot more to her than meets the eye. Stereotypes in the show are broken and recreated into something beautiful and just straight up amazing. Like, let me just do a deep dive on this hot stepmom. I mean, this mom. Sorry, I've a MILF problem, but also a bunch of problems. Anyway, the queen is introduced in Ranking of Kings as both the evil queen and Boji's wicked stepmother, two archetypes attributed to stories like Snow White. She initially appears to fill these attributes to a T, consistently patronizing Boiji to the point of crushing his spirits while giving her biological son, Prince Daida, unconditional love and support. While there is no excuse for her imprudent behavior toward Boiji, later episodes reveal she's a much more complex character with plenty of positive qualities. In a shocking twist, it's revealed that the queen actually loves Boiji. More than once, she is seen using her magic to heal him, keeping him healthy at the expense of her own energy and health. A flashback sequence shows that before Daida was born, Heling was very affectionate and motherly toward Boiji, even going to great lengths to understand and bond with him. Despite the missteps in her parenting, Heling's actions are aiming to protect Boiji from a kingdom that ridicules him. I'm not justifying her actions, just giving you a new perspective on a character so different than what we would expect. Though he's part of a fantasy world, the familiar way Boiji is treated demonstrates how universal the problem is. Ranking of Kings dispels prejudice by taking tropes the audience knows and explicitly going against them to compel some sort of empathy, understanding, and kindness within a character's archetypes that are typically shallow under a single lens. This is done wonderfully in the case of Kage, a dark blob part of an infamous clan of assassins who arguably has the most emotional backstory yet and ends up befriending and caring for Boiji. And I can't say this anymore, this story is just so beautiful, it's amazing. By doing these tropes, some of which can be found in century-old stories, now feel a refreshing and new take, and it's beautiful. Every character is more than just a single archetype, with deep complexities and many layers waiting to be peeled back. As a result, Ranking of Kings is a better story for challenging these old storytelling methods, and continues to do something special every episode. Boiji, though young, is already a master at tricking those around him into thinking what he wants them to think, but it is sometimes to his detriment. In addition to reading lips and knowing sign language, Boiji is also physically agile, yet pretends to be some unskilled person with a weapon, presumably because this plays into his chosen persona. He manages to do so many things by playing the fool, such as deliver clothes to his friend Kage, but Boiji has decided that his greatest advantage is to avoid giving away his strengths, of hiding his intellect and the extent of his abilities in favor of keeping those abilities hidden until the opportune moment. In later episodes, Boji's weapon of choice turns out to be a thin, needle-like sword, which he hides beneath a deceptively large sheath. When Despa takes Boiji and Daida for drinks, we get the chance to see Boiji uses this blade in a bar fight with a trio of orc brothers. Whereas Boji's old strategy centered around using his small size to dodge blows, now he uses his size to charge at enemies and deal the blows himself. He punches the orcs in the jaw that gives them a concussion, and with his tiny sword, he can stab nerves to knock opponents out without killing or seriously injuring them. He's like the greatest swordsman of all time. Ranking of Kings does everything right. It dispels prejudice by taking the tropes that the audience already knows and has a loose understanding and completely expanding it in this kind of show. This story is emotional, this story is action-packed, and this story is something that we can all relate to. I want to go back to a previous point I made. Boiji lives in a world where no one thinks he'll become this great king. However, there's something more to him. And one of many moments that made me think this way is when Kage kept a secret from Boiji. That secret being that Beben specifically does not want Boiji to become king, but instead wants him for something else. You, me, and the rest of the audience still doesn't know what this is, and given the ambiguities of the court's allegiances, this might be a reason to be suspicious, or not. Even so, it seems as if Kage wouldn't go along with any plan that could hurt Boiji, and even if he doesn't become king, that doesn't mean he can't be a hero. As the two-headed snake said in this episode to Bibin, Boiji may not rise to the caliber of a king. However, as the boy grows, I'm certain that he will save many people. And that's the beauty of Ranking of Kings, and that's why I think it's amazing.